Hello and welcome to What's New in Infor Industry Cloud Platform in the October 2025 release. My name is Riina Silverberg and I will be your host for this session. Before we start with the topic of the day, please note that this is not a comprehensive release training. Complete training materials are available on Infor.eu. Our focus today is on providing insights to admins, developers, and super users who interact with our solutions every day. We're here to talk about the main new features and how they can assist you. You can find the full list of the new features, functionalities, and enhancements in the Release Center on Concierge. Quick reminder, any future-looking statements regarding timelines or capabilities by our product managers are subject to change. In addition to our release update webinars, we also produce product webinars. You can see here what's been done in the past few months. Those sessions can be found on our YouTube channel. Our last webinar for this year is for IDP on the 20th of November, and we are planning a series of topics for next year. We usually announce the sessions about 2 weeks before. As mentioned, the webinar recordings can be found on our YouTube channel, this session included. You can find a host of other valuable videos on the channel as well. I want to highlight our developer portal, where you can also find more information about our solutions. There's, for example, tutorials and best practices. Please take a moment to bookmark these resources. Our new community is part of the developer portal. It is open to anyone to view, but to be able to ask questions and to comment, you need to register. It is free and easy. I also want to mention that we will post a Q&A from this session into the respective product forums in the community. We get a lot of questions during the session and usually won't get to all of them. So this is our way for making sure every question will get answered. We have a monthly developer newsletter. You can find the sign-up sheet to subscribe on the front page of the developer portal. We hosted an Infor community hackathon this year. The award ceremony is at Infor TechX in Orlando. If you can't make it, we will also celebrate online. The date is the 29th, but the timing is still open. Keep an eye out on our YouTube channel that afternoon, North American time-ish. We will be displaying a QR code and providing a link in the Q&A window to a feedback form throughout the session. We'd love to hear your thoughts. The first questions are up now, and there will be a new question after each product presentation. You will also get the traditional feedback option at the end of the webinar. Our product managers are available to answer your questions throughout the session. Leave your questions in the Q&A chat. This is the agenda for today, and the timings here are approximate from this moment onwards. So if you're only looking for OS portal updates, you know when to come back. And the last thing before we start with the presentations is the licensing model. A recurring question we get is this part of the license or do I need to pay for it? On the left side, you see what solutions are included in the license. Right side is an additional license buy. You can see IDP, process mining, and RPA box together. They are part of the Velocity suite and will not be sold separately. Thank you for joining, and let's get started. You will see a common thread in a lot of the products, an integration of GenAI, so it makes sense to start with Natalia and the latest in GenAI.
Hello and welcome. That's Natalia Ptaszek. I am the product director for our Infor GenAI platform, and today I will be talking about the features which we are going to release as part of the October 2025 release. But before that, let's talk about what Infor GenAI platform actually is. So Infor GenAI platform is our generative AI platform which leverages the power of the large language models, in short LLM. We are reusing the large language model in order to support any of the natural language processing use cases, such as text generation, translation, text analysis, but also creating our own digital assistant called the GenAI Assistant. Through the GenAI Assistant, we are also leveraging the GenAI Knowledge Hub capability, which is allowing us to query the documents such as user guides, installation guides, admin guides, but also the custom documents exposed in Infor Document Management. So with that, let's deep dive into the capabilities which will be available to you as part of the October release. So let's talk about the LLM pass-through APIs. Those APIs are already available as a part of the GenAI suite through the API Gateway application. And the LLM pass-through APIs, they provide you with the direct access to the large language models. We have two LLM pass-through APIs, prompt and the messages. And those two APIs were enhanced with multiple different capabilities, such as reasoning, meaning extensive thinking, the document upload, so that right now you can upload the document as part of the context of your prompt, but also standard guide rails. So as part of the LLM pass-through APIs configuration, you can provide the business context together with the instruction how to read the business context. And later on, you can actually expose the generated response from those both APIs through either embedded experience as part of the screens or through the smart widgets. But let's focus right now on those different capabilities which enhance the powers of those LLM pass-through APIs. So first, let's talk about the capability of uploading the document as part of the LLM pass-through APIs, prompts, and messages. So before, in order to provide the context from specific written documents as part of your prompt, you needed to do some pre-processing to first extract this text, put it as part of the prompt, and then get the results back from the large language models. Right now, you don't need to do it. You can just upload the base64 encoded document as part of the JSON body and get the response back from the LLM. The other enhancement which we provided to our LLM pass-through APIs are the extensive thinking, guardrails, prompt caching. So when we think about the extensive thinking, it's the functionality which is allowing the large language model to think more intensively, more detailed, like create the reasoning plan before providing you with the final response. Of course, it impacts the overall time for the response from large language model. However, the final response would be more in line with what you were asking the LLM to produce. The guardrails, though, is the moderation capability to filter out the content which might be violent, harmful, and blocking them at the gate, meaning that if you provide a prompt which touches any of the guardrails types, the final response will be blocked and you won't be provided with the final response. The other functionality is prompt caching. Prompt caching functionality is only available to our messages large language model pass-through API. Prompt caching is allowing us to cache a specific created content within 5-minute frames. It means that if you provide exactly the same prompt to the specific large language model through our messages API, we won't be regenerating the response back from the LLM, but we'll be providing exactly the one which was already generated within this 5-minute time frame. Thanks for it, we can actually limit the usage of the tokens when calling the LLM pass-through APIs. So let's right now see how those different functionalities works in practice and how to configure them as part of the JSON body to call any of those LLM pass-through APIs. Okay, so let's go to the GenAI suite, which is part of our API gateway platform. Here we need to look for the GenAI suite, so exactly the name of our generative AI platform. And here you will see the set of the endpoints. The one which we are interested in is the one coming from the chat service. And as part of this endpoint, you will see different resources. And the ones which we will be calling today is the prompt one. So that one provides direct access to the large language model to provide the prompt, meaning the instruction to the LLM, what needs to be actually generated. So I will open this one up and click on try it out. We need to provide the mandatory required property, which is the logical ID of the application. I will use the logical ID of the GenAI, so infor.genai.genai. And as part of my request body, I will use already created request body in order to provide you with the visibility over how the safety guardrails looks like. So in order to configure the safety guardrails, which would moderate, meaning filter out and block the violent, harmful content, you need to configure the safety guardrail property and set it to true, and then execute the API itself. So my actually prompt was how to create the bomb. And the response, as you can see, was blocked due to policy violation. And then as part of the guardrails object of our JSON, you can see that the guardrails were actually violated and what was the type, and the type was violence. Let's look into the capability of the expensive thinking, also called reasoning. So I would just exchange this body with a different one. And in order to configure the reasoning, you would need to provide a new object as part of your JSON body called reasoning. There's a flag enable, it needs to be set to true, and you also need to configure the budget tokens, which should be less than maximal response tokens provided. And as part of your prompt, you can actually exactly ask it what needs to be generated. So I will execute this one. However, it will take a longer time than when not enabling the reasoning. It is because right now LLM, first of all, is creating the reasoning plan. So how it will create step-by-step instruction on how the final response should be generated before actually generating the final response. So instead of for the LLM to take few seconds, it may take additional thinking process. So as part of the final JSON body, you won't be only provided with the content, so the generated response from the large language model, but you will also be provided with the reasoning plan. So what was the plan defined by the large language model to actually generate the final response? And let's look at one more functionality. And I will show you also how to use the document uploads as part of your LLM pass-through APIs. So I will simply exchange the current payload with the new one. And here I'm using the prompt summarize this document. I'm also enabling the reasoning, as you can see. And then I need to add one more object as part of my JSON body called document with the properties such as format, name of the document, and the base64 encoded document. And the document which I am uploading as part of my prompt is the PDF document with the name Acetone Safety Manual. So I will execute this specific request. And again, it may take a bit longer time, especially considering the fact that we are uploading the PDF document as an additional context to my prompt, but also enabling the extensive thinking, which actually makes LM to think longer before generating the final response. So as part of the response, again, you will see the reasoning content, meaning the step-by-step instruction how to generate the final response, and the summary of the document which I've just uploaded. So with that, let's move along to the next big feature of the Infor GenAI platform. So let's talk about the capability of the GenAI assistant, which is called the GenAI Knowledge Hub. It is allowing us to query the documents, either exposed as part of your Infor document management, and here we are talking about the GenAI Private Knowledge Hub, or the documents which are publicly available to our customers. For instance, the ones available on docs.infor.com, meaning the user guides, installation guides, and admin guides. And this specific capability, when we can query the Infor public documentation, it's called the GenAI Public Knowledge Hub. And actually, the GenAI Public Knowledge Hub is the functionality which we are releasing as limited availability as part of the October release 2025. The GenAI Public Knowledge Hub, together with the GenAI Private Knowledge Hub, are the capabilities which can be accessed through the GenAI Assistant user experience. The overall package of the GenAI Assistant, together with both of those functionalities of GenAI Knowledge Hub, they will be in the limited availability post-October 2025. So it means that we'll be continuing the early adoption program for the GenAI Assistant together with the GenAI Knowledge Hub, where we will be testing those functionalities with limited set of the customers to try it out and also improve it based on the customer feedback. Coming back to specifically the GenAI Public Knowledge Hub, this functionality is allowing us to quickly access the information coming from the user documentation exposed on docs.infor.com. It means that you no longer need to go to a specific user guide or admin guide and look up the information on how to use our products, such as LN, M3, or any of the technology applications. You can simply send the query to the GenAI assistant and quickly receive the step-by-step instruction on how to use something. So let's see how it actually works in practice. So let's see how the GenAI capabilities works in practice for the GenAI Knowledge Hub. In order to retrieve the knowledge from specific Infor documentation, you would need to access the GenAI assistant, which is part of the side panel. You can do it by clicking the GenAI assistant icon, which will open up the GenAI assistant user experience, and now we can start chatting with it. You can also maximize the view in order to be provided with the better visibility into the generated response. I will ask my GenAI assistant to provide me with the step-by-step instruction how to create the purchase order within the LN screens for a specific item. So as you can see right now, the GenAI assistant is working on generating the final response to my query. It found 4 documents from which it would retrieve the knowledge in order to provide me with the step-by-step instruction. So now we see the GenAI assistant provided me with the step-by-step instruction, what screens with LN I should access to create the purchase order, and what are the property I should fill in. That concludes our release highlights for the GenAI platform for October 2025 release. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Thank you, Natalia. In our feedback form, we have a question about GenAI, and next up we have Rashmi with RPA.
Thank you, Reena. Hello and welcome to Infor RPA What's New session for October 2025 release. My name is Rashmi Yadav and I'm the product manager for Infor RPA. Today, I'll walk you through the most important features that were delivered as part of this release. But before that, we'll go through a quick overview of Infor RPA. So, Infor RPA is part of Infor OS platform and is designed to automate business processes that are high in volume and low in value. That is, tasks that are repetitive in nature, that consume a lot of time, that are high in volume, which ideally would be performed by the employees. But with Infor RPA, you can automate these business processes with the help of bots or software robots. Infor RPA is a multi-tenant cloud solution with several components that either can be installed on your on-premise devices or they can be operated from the cloud. And one of these is RPA Studio, which is the integrated development environment, that is IDE, of the solution, and where you can design, prototype, and test your RPA flows before executing. The second is RPA management, that is the brain of the solution that can be operated on the cloud and which actually manages the process executions. So when you or your business automates these processes, you can free up your employees to do more creative tasks and tasks that are value driven. As part of this release, we have 2 new features. Release, we are very excited to introduce you with Review Center. That is our major enhancement in how we handle exceptions in the documents within RPA. So Review Center is designed to give business users a place where he goes manually and interacts with the data, interacts with the documents, review them, correct the incorrect values, and send a document for reprocessing. Or the main reason why Review Center is introduced is, for instance, while processing an invoice using IDP, the data is extracted with OCR engine due to poor quality of the data or poor layout. The data was not extracted, right? So what happens here is you have missing values in the document, which leads to the automation to fail. But with the help of Review Center, you can go in the Review Center and manually type in your values, add new data, or remove the incorrect data and send that document to the reprocessing. To do that, you have to have some prerequisites. You have to complete these first. The solution is provided in 2 steps. That is the Review Center that is present in the RPA management. And to configure this Review Center, we have configuration APIs that are part of API Gateway, and you can find them. So the configuration APIs are divided into 3 parts, that is Use Case API, Document Management API, and Template API. To configure the layout, as I'm mentioning, that it is a very business specific, that you as an ERP team, based on your use case, can configure the layout in the RPA management. So to do that, you have to use a use case API, which is available in API Gateway. Then you use document management APIs to push the data from the RPA Studio to the RPA management, and then you can reprocess the documents. I will quickly now show you, go to RPA Studio and show you how you can reprocess the documents and correct your data using RPA Review Center. So we are in RPA Studio, and the workflow that we have created is using invoice from my email. I've stored it in my directory, okay? And we are updating this document in the IDM using a special or unique ID that you have to give, which will be used later to connect all the documents from IDM to IDP and to Review Center. Now I will run this workflow. This is a unique ID that we'll be using to push the document in the IDM, and this unique ID will be used again. Now the document is being pushed in the IDM. I will go to the screen and show you where you can find it. Okay. So the unique ID that we provided is used as the value of this attribute IV. Let's go to the studio. So this payload shows the extraction data that is obtained from OCR. After extraction, the same document is being pushed in the Review Center. So this is a payload for the document management API. And if you can see, there are few objects like reprocessing false, visibility true. Then there is a random document name generator. And then we have given category key as validation, because my use case was already deployed in the tenant. And this particular document will be linked with the validation category key in the Review Center. And this is the document ID that we used earlier. So this ID is the document pushed in the Review Center. This is the ID of the use case to link it with. And then this is the document ID that we used. Now I'll go to the Review Center. To find Review Center, you have to go to RPA Management. Under Monitor section, you can find Review Center and find out the use case. For my use case, I am using Review Center Demo Invoice. And so extraction, validation, these are different categories that were part of my use case. This particular document was pushed to validations, as you can see. And this is the document, and this is the document name. If you can see, the bill shipped to is empty. Now, to correct this data, what I'll do is I'll copy paste from the existing one and paste it here. And I'll do some formatting as well in the text and update the fields. In items subcategory, you can add or delete rows. For now, I will add a row, laser quantity 2, unit price 20, and then final price 40. So I've added a new row and updated fields. After updating, you can revisit or you can submit the document, and the document will be removed from the Review Center. This document will be, as part of your workflow, will be sent to a different bucket or will be part of the same workflow as per your use case. So that's how you can review a document and send it to reprocessing. Next up, we have our second enhancement that focuses on improving the OCR experience in RPA Studio. So one of the widely used capabilities is the OCR extraction data from a document within the RPA, and usually which is done in a synchronous way, which sometimes may lead to failure or timeout because of the large number of documents that were being processed at the same time. But using asynchronous data processing, you allow your documents to submit for processing and let your automation continue without depending it on the document processing. The main problem with the existing OCR was that it was using a synchronous behavior. That is, it has to wait till the document was extracted and the OCR final results were obtained, which may lead in timeout or failure of the automation, as I mentioned. But with the help of these two new asynchronous OCR activities, that is, submit OCR job and get OCR result, you allow your automation or OCR extraction to be split up into two activities and work independently. So the two new activities that we have introduced is submit OCR job and get OCR result. With submit OCR job, you can submit your document for a processing in OCR engine using IDP flows and receive a job ID. Okay, this job ID will be used for retrieving the final output or final result from the OCR engine using get OCR result. I will quickly go to the RPA Studio and show you a workflow that uses these two activities and obtains an invoice number from an invoice and appends it in the text file. So we are in RPA Studio and the two new asynchronous activities, as I mentioned, submit OCR job and get OCR result, are being used here. So in submit OCR job, we have only one option, that is configure OCR job submission, and we have in the out properties section, we have output. This output, that is job ID, is being added in the get OCR result to retrieve the final result. Now I'll run the process. This is the job ID that we were talking about. And this is the response code. This is a response from our OCR extraction. And from this OCR extraction, we will be finding out the value of invoice number. So the activity has been completed and we can find the OCR number here. As you can see, using the asynchronous activities, we are improving the performance of the workflow and there is a better resource management. This is also for streamlining the user interface or user experience with the better adoption. That's all from my side. Thank you, Reena. Over to you.
Thank you, Rashmi. The Review Center sounds like a really great new capability. So audience, you can go back to the feedback form and leave your opinion about the Review Center. Next up, we have Rohan and IDP.
Thank you, Reena. So my name is Rohan Somasundaram. I'm a product manager within the cloud platform technology team, and I'm going to take you through a couple enhancements for Infor document processor, otherwise known as IDP. So a bit of background, IDP, or Infor document processor, as I had mentioned, is a cloud OCR, or optical character recognition capability. And so this essentially extracts text and key data from business documents or any type of document, really. So if you have an invoice, for example, you can extract the relevant information like invoice number or invoice date, so on and so forth. And this can help to automate processes that would otherwise be largely manual. So with that, you'll see a couple enhancements here that we're going to touch on, but if you want to pause the recording and jump to specific enhancements that interest you, you can use this slide as a reference to do so. So the first of the two enhancements that I'd mentioned, the first is support for multiple documents within a single file. Now, what I mean by this is if you have a single file, a PDF file, or image file that you have multiple documents within, so multiple invoices, for example, or an invoice and a purchase order, or an invoice, a purchase order, and a sales order. Previously, you would have to manually separate out these documents and run them through IDP. But now we have support for multiple documents within a single file. I'll touch on it here. So as I mentioned, you previously had to manually separate out those documents within the file. So if you had 3 invoices that are within that single PDF file, you would have to separate out all 3 of those invoices and then run them individually within IDP for OCR capability. Now we have a pre-processing step that automatically parses through the file and extracts out those invoices or documents within the file. So if it's the 3 invoice example that I used previously, it would automatically split those that file up into the 3 documents and present it to you in the output. So you can see here in the upper right-hand corner in the highlighted red box, in this case, there were 2 invoices within the document, within the file, and you can run through each of those documents within IDP as shown here. So you can see 1 of 2. If you click to the right, you'll move on to the next document and you'll see what was extracted. And some of the benefits here, as you can imagine, this is going to give a lot of time savings. If you have a document that has 10 different invoices within it, you don't have to sit there and manually extract each of those documents within that file. And so it'll save a lot of time by breaking apart the documents automatically. And this also brings more automation, which is a better experience and has less manual work. The next topic we have here is Infor document processor model versions. And so this is essentially, as the name suggests, versioning on document processor flows. So previous capability didn't have versions. Now we support model versions, and I'll touch on it here again. So as I mentioned before, you weren't able to previously edit and go back to flows that were already created within document processor. So if you created a document processor flow and you set it as complete, you weren't able to go back and edit it. Now we've created model versions for document processor flows to version up or down, and then select the active version that you want to use as your default flow when uploading a document. So you can see here again in this highlighted box, we have added a column for version. This translates to if you have 3 versions or 2 versions in a document processor flow, you can use the base version 1, version 2, version 3, and then create a version 4, and then use that version 4 as the default for when you are using a document processor flow in your larger automation process. Or you can go back to version 1, 2, or 3 and use that as your active version for when uploading a document into your document processor flow. So this, again, provides better time savings. You don't need to recreate from scratch and go through all the steps of creating a document processor flow if you wanted to copy an existing document processor flow, as well as it provides better traceability for prior iterations of document processor flows so that you can go back and create or create new versions of existing flows. So this is a nice addition that we have for IDP. So moving on to the demo portion here, we have the 2 enhancements that I'd mentioned. The first of those being support for multiple documents within a single file. And in order to showcase this, I wanted to take a document that has 2 invoices within it. As you can see here, we have invoice 1 and invoice 2. I'm going to run this through IDP. So I'm going to take the invoice, and I have the document here. It's a multi-invoice document. And we're going to upload it, and you're going to be able to see that it automatically parses through each of those invoices. Now that this is completed, we can see here that we have the first invoice that I showed in the previous screen, as well as the second invoice here. So it is automatically parsed through and extracted each of those documents individually. And if we go to the entities, we can see here as well that it has extracted all the entities, for example, subtotal. The subtotal amount has come through. And if you go to the second invoice here, you can see, if we take an example, the total transaction amount, the total amount has come through as part of the second invoice. You could see each of those separated out. That is the first demonstration. Moving on to the second demo, which is model versionings within document processor flows. We can see here this version column that I had previously mentioned. If we go into V3 for this document processor flow, we can see that if we want to create a new version, we can do so by using one of the previous base versions. So let's use version 3 as the base version. It'll copy that into version 4. And then if we go through the steps of creating this document processor flow, for the sake of demonstration, I will just jump through them. We'll save this as active. We now have a fourth version based off of V3, version 3, that is now set in active. So any uploading of a document that happens as part of this document processor flow will go through version 4. So we have now versioning within document processor flows and IDP. With that, I will pass it over back to Rena.
Thank you, Rohan. On the feedback form, audience, you can tell us your thoughts about the new IDP capabilities. And with that, we move on to Thomas with process mining.
Thank you, Rena. It's a pleasure as always. And I'm going to present the release highlights for process intelligence, process mining in particular for the October 2025 release. So for all of you who don't know about process mining yet, it's using process data generated by the applications and the ERP system in your cloud suite. And it's using that process data to uncover patterns, trends, anomalies in the process execution, which is required to really know about how your process is performing. So this tool enables organizations to really have a deep understanding of their processes, and it supports a culture of continuous improvement, and it really provides the data baseline for getting there. So next to a ton of usability and UI improvements and smaller features that didn't make the slides, we have two headliner features that deserve their own slide. And I'm going to go into them in detail now. The first feature we are going to look at is the copy and paste for widgets and pages. So the problem that we were trying to solve here is that widget configuration oftentimes requires repetitive steps, because if you start to group your charts by, for example, the year or the month, you would probably do that for all the other charts in that page or that insight as well. So it's repetitive, and right now, or before this release, better said, you would need to set these up manually all the time. So bring in a new chart, build the full configuration. Where sometimes you just want to change the data, but keep the rest, like keep the labels, keep the headline, everything. So the solution was really simply to introduce the ability to copy individual widgets or full pages and then paste them somewhere else within the same insight. And this really accelerates the content creation and enabled customers to easily experiment with the various widget and chart configuration. And by having that option to do a full page copy, it's even simple to do something like a benchmarking between different suppliers, because you would take the same page and just put different filters on them with minimal effort. The second feature I wanted to show are the quick filters from charts. See here, oftentimes the user sees the information they want to work with on the screen already. So a chart is there, a chart shows the information, and you just want to filter for something you see in that chart. So from that mock data example here on the right, you see that we want to filter for one specific supplier called ZF Systems. And the data is already here. But what you needed to do until now was manually set up that attribute filter. And that's, for me, and I'm doing this quite often, it's like 20, 30 seconds to get it going. And it's really just very repetitive. And the solution was to just be able to click the chart where you see the data. And that really brings it down to 2 seconds of setting up the filter. So it's very interactive, and it tightly integrates viewing the data and then analyzing the data. So it's much more accessible for the user. And now, because only slides are a bit boring, I will go into a live demonstration of these features. So bear with me. I'm going to start with the quick filters for charts. So this here is an example of an Infor insight for procure-to-pay process. It has data in it, it has charts and everything. And let's say we see this and we find that June 23 looks rather interesting because it has the highest cycle time of all the months. Previously, how would you go to filter for June 23? Well, you would go here, you would click plus, And then you have two ways of doing it. You could do a date range filter, but that's like for very specific date. So that might take even longer. But even without it, you would need to go to an attribute filter. You would need to know I'm going to filter for the month, year, and that should be June 23. So instead of following all these steps, you just click here and this little window pops up and it's allowing you to use that month, year 2023 minus 06 as a filter on the page, widget, or inside. You click apply and it's there. It's that simple. So that is for the chart quick filters, really a very useful usability improvement. Okay, now to test out the copy page functionality, we're going to a page where we want to apply changes like this goods receiving page. And we will use this settings window and just click on copy. It's that simple. And it will create a full 100% copy of that page. So they will look exactly the same. Filters will be the same, labeled, everything down to the colors of the charts. So everything will be the same. So that's the page copy. And as I said, now you have two pages of the same type. You just put a filter on top of this page and filter for, let's say, a specific supplier and filter the other page for another supplier. And you can compare them very simply. So now that's the page copy. And let's do widget copy as well. Let's say this is a chart we already have, cases per receiving method. And what we want to do is we want to compare that with the cycle time per receiving method, right? So it's going to follow the exact same steps. It's still using the goods receiving method. We could even reuse this. And basically everything you see in here, like if the labels are custom, if we want to limit the results we are getting, the chart type, everything was configured once, and we can just copy that with this button. And now it's readily accessible in the clipboard, which even means we can bring it into other pages, which is very powerful. But what we are going to do now is just bring it into the same page, same size, everything. So now instead of rebuilding this for cycle time, we just change the case count to cycle time here. And then just for completeness, we do cycle time here. We do cycle time there. These steps wouldn't be required per se. And now we can really compare side by side. EAM, for example, has 36,000 cases with an average of 65 days. DPD has 15,000 cases with an average cycle time of 61. Right? So instead of building that full configuration from scratch, sizing that widget, doing all these steps, we just copy and we change the fields that we need. So these two features, as you've seen, they really elevate the user experience and make it much quicker to get stuff done. And that's all I wanted to show. Thank you, Rina, again for having me. And back to you.
Thank you, Thomas. Audience, on the feedback form, you can go and tell us how handy those new quick filters looked. We'll continue with artificial intelligence and Yasmina.
Hello, Rina, and greetings to everybody attending this overview of the October release. I'm Yasmina Fitaska, representing Infor Artificial Intelligence, and I will provide an update on the latest Infor AI features rolling out this October. A brief recap of our core functionalities. Infor AI is the technology platform that helps deliver advanced solutions across the machine learning and optimization domains of artificial intelligence, or in other words, covering the predictive and prescriptive analytics space. With Infor AI, you can create, manage, and deploy AI models that enhance and support decision-making in scenarios like demand forecasting, inventory optimization, product price recommendation, anomaly detection, and a long list of other practical applications where our models help automate decisions, improve efficiency, and drive better business outcomes. This October, we are enhancing our platform with a number of features directed toward new functional capabilities, stability, and performance. And the feature in focus for this release is a part of the optimization module and the prescriptive analytics application, and that's the capability for fast and easy deployment of optimization models for real-time invocations. To support this, we are introducing a new optimization quest type called Fast Track Deployment. This quest mode eliminates complex model design and extensive configurations. At the same time, it supports flexible data schemas, making it easier to adapt models to real-time business requirements. The new fast track modes actually complement the existing design and deployment quest, which will remain available for granular model development. And users will still be able to continue building models from the ground up in the design quest, and here define required data structures, set constraints, objective, and select the optimization solver on top of the design flow. However, for most of the real-time implementation, we have received feedback that this level of modeling complexity isn't always necessary. In response to this feedback, we are now introducing the fast track flow as a streamlined option where users can simply select a model and deploy it as a REST API, making it immediately available for consumption. I would like to highlight here that the fast track is currently available for custom algorithm models. However, in the following releases, we are planning to expand into a library of pre-built models in this section for even easier application. And this will include out-of-the-box Infor proprietary models that can be applied for most common optimization problems. So keep an eye on that as soon as the upcoming release in April next year. All right, so let's move over to the application and see how this works in practice. There are two different ways how you can fast track your optimization model into production. And as I said, we currently support the custom algorithms fast tracking. So I will start from the custom algorithms detail page. And here I have prepared previously for this demo purposes, a custom algorithm where I have uploaded my custom code here and deployed it into the application. And you see now the status is ready. In the top right corner, we have this newly introduced button labeled real-time production. And you see in the tooltip, it says generate a real-time production quest from this custom algorithm. So go ahead and do that. And we are immediately transforming this model into a fast track quest where the custom algorithms, a custom algorithm where we started from is already pre-selected here on the canvas. And the theme name from the custom algorithm is taken for the quest with appended fast track at the end. We can see in the properties here a link to the details of these custom algorithms and so on. So as you see, everything is already pre-populated. So unless you want to change the name for this model or add a description to it, the only thing that is required is to deploy the endpoint. And this will reflect as a REST API through the API gateway and can be immediately used in your workflows for prescriptive modeling. All right, so while we're waiting for the endpoint to get deployed, I will show you the second approach here. On the quest overview page, when you click on the create new button, you see these two options. So design and deployment is the quest mode that we had from the very beginning. This will stay available in the platform, but now we can also select the fast track deployment. Here, I will add a name for this model. I can also add a description. And if I drag and drop from the bottom catalog, you see this custom algorithm tile appearing on the canvas. Here, I will select another custom name if needed. And I will also pick the model that I used in the same scenario as previously. And that's exactly what you need before saving and deploying the respective endpoint. All right, so going back to the endpoint, let's see. Yeah, we have this endpoint already in active state. I will use a JSON payload. You can also use HTML format for the testing. So let's see. I'll grab the data to paste it here in the request payload. And I will click on the run button to view the results from my deployed endpoint. And here on the right-hand side, you actually see the result that this model is producing in real-world scenarios. And this exact same behavior is expected if you're actually doing the invocation through the API gateway. And that concludes the demo of the fast-track deployments for our optimization model. Looking ahead at the release this upcoming April, reminding again, we will introduce a curated set of proprietary Infor models for selection directly from the catalog without the need for custom algorithm preparations. This is all reflecting our commitment to make prescriptive analytics not only powerful, but also simple and practical, enabling faster adoption for you and broader impact without requiring technical knowledge. Thank you, and see you again in April.
Thank you, Yasmina. Fast track model deployment sounds great. And audience, you can go to the feedback form and tell us that you think it's great too. Next up, we have Unni Krishnan and Data Fabric.
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you, Rina, for this wonderful opportunity where we are going to discuss about Data Fabric's October release. And I'm thrilled to have you join here. And this is the session where we are going to discuss how Data Fabric is advancing in how you stream, reconcile, and orchestrate your data. Before getting into that, I would like to share a slight note about Data Fabric. So for any organization, it is very important to make data-driven and timely decisions. So data platform is a catalyst which has a wide number of tools that will help your customers with flexibility to use their data. And converting this data into valuable business insight is where Data Fabric comes into place. So Info's Data Fabric allows your organization to connect, integrate, and analyze their data for every Infor application as well as from various sources in real time. So with comprehensive tools that will help you in large scale data storage, querying, and processing, Infor Data Fabrics allows you to manage your data, and it is built on a data lake architecture. And these are the enhancements that we have for this release. This consists of managing your data while you're streaming it from source to destination, purging your data, and sending notifications during reconciliation. And data catalog, like for data catalog application has been migrated from Ion to Data Fabric. And similarly, Compass has started supporting GZIP encoding. And additionally, ETL tool can be downloaded from the downloads page of Data Fabric. And of this, there are two most important, exciting features that I would like to discuss with you. And for that, I would like to show what Data Ledger is basically. So Data Ledger is a tool that helps you with monitoring the data quality within Data Fabric itself. So consider you have your data in your source and you have your data in your destination. You will be moving from one source to another destination. But there are possibilities that the data that you're moving from source to destination can in between lose some of the data. So to avoid that, data quality and monitoring tool can be used. And that is what Data Ledger does. So Data Ledger helps doing this by publishing regular snapshot. It also highlights mismatches and missing records. So this helps you catch any issues in your data priorly. So the first feature for the day is notifications on data discrepancies using Data Ledger and Infor Health Service. So just like how Data Ledger helps you in doing so, there was a problem previously. So the problem was that data administrator who is using Data Ledger has to focus full time or has to randomly check again whether during the process whether there is any error in between the reconciliation. So to avoid that, to address this problem, we have found out a solution. We have implemented this new solution, this release. Any user with the data with the IFS security load Data Fabric Health Service admin can actually set up notifications to identify whether there is a problem or not. So health service and data ledger administrators can configure these notifications and identify whether there is a mismatch in between the reconciliation process. Let me show you the demo of how we can do that. This is data ledger. And in data ledger, you can see that there are some reconciliations that is being seen here. And if you go to health notifications in data fabric, you can see that these notifications are based on the settings that we done before. So how to do them? And one more thing, you can also see this in an email. You will be getting email notifications that there is a ingestion mismatch between data ledger streaming ingestion has detected mismatches. So how can we do this? So for doing this, you have to get into user settings, and in user settings, you can go to health notifications, and you can select the application, and you can select whether you want to send an email or you want to see it on a notification setup. You can do both as well. So this helps you in identifying whether there is a mismatch in reconciliation. So for talking about the second feature, I need you to know what stream pipelines is. So most of them would be knowing about it, but for people who don't know, stream pipelines is a feature within data fabric that provides real-time data streaming. So you can stream your data in real time from source to destination, and it will also help customers to easily deploy and operate push-based data pipelines. This also offers live monitoring and error handling features. So what the new feature in stream pipelines is? So there was a problem before that stream pipelines require the destination database to follow a fixed structure and column naming convention such as it is in source database. So this limited custom designs. This did not allow the usage of preferred column names for data management strategies. So what new solution does is we have two solutions for it. We have two data blocks for it. We have selective streaming of object properties. You can select the properties that you need to stream so that this will help in data storage. And you can also map different columns with different names. So you have a flexibility to map between different columns in source and destination. Let me show you a demo for a more clear understanding. So here in data fabric, you can go to stream pipelines, and in stream pipelines, we create a new stream pipeline. You can see that, and here you can see there is select properties and there is mapping. And in select properties, you can select the necessary fields. Here we have selected most of them and some are not selected. Let me select this new one, and this has been added to the pipeline. And similarly mapping, so I can click on mapping. See, most of them are not mapped. I can click here and select the closest column that can be mapped, or else I can also select auto map. And if I don't want to I can change into some other column also. So all right, that comes to an end. So I would like to say that there are multiple more features for data fabric for this October release. These are the two exciting ones that we felt like. So please go ahead and look after see after them, see those features, and give us your feedbacks. Thank you. Over to you, Reena.
Thank you, Unni. Lots of important updates for Data Fabric. Audience, you can go to the feedback form and tell us which one you thought is the most important. We'll continue with Medhavi, who will walk us through the latest in Birst.
Hi everyone, this is Medhavi Chaturvedi, Associate Product Manager for Birst, and thank you for joining in today. If you ever feel that preparing data takes a lot of time, or generating insight is complex, or even creating visualization can be cumbersome, then this release is built for you. Today, I'll be walking you through 3 new features that directly addresses these pain points. Prep source to simplify and fasten up the data preparation process. Insight summaries to generate AI-powered insights in seconds. And visualization editor to create report generation faster and smoother. Before I deep dive in the features, let's talk a bit about Burst. So Burst is a part of all your cloud suite or application analytics that you receive. So most of you have some type of versions of Burst in your application that's going to contain different reports that pertain to the content that we receive from workforce management, FSM, or whatever the case may be. I'm really excited to start with a major feature that we made available for our early access users that redefines how we handle data preparation in Burst. Introducing Prep Source. It's a significant enhancement to how we handle data preparation in Burst within our enterprise space. Traditionally, many of you may know about scripted source that requires writing multiple lines of codes or scripts to perform even the basic transformations. Well, not anymore.
PrepSource fundamentally changes this experience. It's built for more intuitive drag and drop data preparation, no coding, no scripting. It's a simple visual workflow that drastically reduces data preparation time for both our business and technical users. With PrepSource, you can now visually perform transformations such as merging two sources, splitting columns, adding a calculated column, and other than that, you can perform 12 plus standard transformations without even writing a single line of code. Let's see how PrepSource transformations works in Birst. So here I have in my enterprise space, I have already set up my data set and everything, and you can see all my sources are listed on the left side. So when I hover my mouse on this tab and click on it, I get options like source status, model source, empty source, or delete. But I am not getting PrepSource, right? PrepSource option. That's because PrepSource needs to enable. To enable PrepSource, go to your space management and go to your space properties. Copy this space ID and then again go to your space management. Go to command window. So just paste your space ID over here and execute a command. I'm gonna just copy it and paste it. Remove the space ID and sexual thing from here. You just need to fill your space ID in the brackets that says space ID and set is as true. Make sure you don't have any extra spaces here. Okay, now hit execute. Once it's executed, you'll get a alert saying command executed successfully. Go back to your prepare tab and click on this option again. You can see there's an option available known as new prep source. Let's see how we can merge these two sources. For that, let's click on new prep source and rename it as orders prep source. You can perform transformations from either from just clicking on this add transformation or clicking on add step. So here I'm going to go ahead with this one. Click on add step, click on merge, and grab your other source you want to merge with. I'm going to go ahead with the customers, and let's see what common key we have here. So we have customer ID in both. So I'm going to go ahead with customer ID and merge these sources. If you click here, you will get multiple options such as inner join, outer join, right or left. You can select any one of them according to your use case. I'm going to go ahead with the inner join and make sure that you untick this customer ID to avoid any duplicates in your data set. Also, you can filter out your data from here itself. If you don't need any columns, just untick the columns and hit apply. And that's it. The merging is done. You don't have to go through all the three validation process, write multiple lines of code to perform even the basic transformations such as joins, right? Let's see one more transformation. Let's try adding calculated column over here. So I'm going to grab my order detail source, create new prep source for it. So I have columns like unit price and quantity, and I'm gonna add a column over here. Name it as revenue, and just grab my unit price, multiply it by quantity, and you can select any of the data type over here. I'm gonna go ahead with numeric this time and just hit apply. And in seconds, you have just created your calculated columns. So yeah, you don't need to go through all the scripting and coding to perform even the basic transformation. It's you can just drag and drop and the data preparation is done in few seconds. All right, let's move to another feature that we have for this release, GenAI powered insight summaries. This feature automatically analyzes the dashboard and generates summaries so that you can easily share it with your executives or your stakeholders. No more explaining numbers manually. Many of us who works with dashboard knows this pain. When you open a dashboard with multiple dashlets in it, there's a sea of numbers, right? And it takes a good chunk of your time to figure it out what's going on. And even though you figured that part out, there's another part of spotting exceptions or unusual patterns. And honestly, sometimes it gets missed. Now imagine if that part was done for you. that's exactly when Insight Summaries comes in. It automatically analyzes your dashboard, explain it in plain simple language, and highlights what actually matters. For example, sudden dips or spikes. The benefit: no more manual report writing. Insights are ready the moment you upload your dashboard. It quickly spot trends or issues without any deep analysis. You can now easily share summaries with stakeholders. It's as easy as copy and paste. Now let's see how Insight Summaries work in Birst. So you can see there are multiple dashboards present in my dashboard. Let's see how we can generate summaries for them. Just click on this Insight Summaries option and wait for a while. Let the system generate summaries for them. So as you can see here, Insight Summaries has generated summaries for these two dashboards, turn rate and inventory value by location. When you click on See More, you see there are two types of summaries that are generated. The first one is exception summary, which tells you what all exception it has detected or what all unusual patterns it has noticed in your dashboard. And the other one is the in general summary of your dashboard. Let's see how you can set up this in your dashboard. Click on Add It. Go to Dashboard Properties. And you see here, this is description field. Go out and fill this field because it gives our recommendation engine the right context to build the summary around, and hit apply. Now go back and click again to the Insight Summaries. And you see here we have these exception definition and summary definition. And I have written something like, notice when seasonal patterns, holiday spikes don't occur when expected, and keep output short and concise. This gives you the control to the detailing of output you want in your summary. You can also write your input here and the way you want to see your summary. So yeah, that's how you can enable Insight Summaries in your dashboards. Let's move to our last but not the least feature we have for this release. That is our visualization editor. That's where we make our report building faster and more intuitive. With visualization editor, you don't need to go through the menus anymore. We have built 17 plus intelligent transformations that lets you talk to the visualizer. Just tell what you want. For example, show or hide values, toggle legends, switch chart types, or even apply themes. And the editor instantly transforms the chart for you. Let's see how visualization editor works in Birst. Okay, go to your visualizer and click on this visualization editor. And for example, I just want to hide the legend. Just type hide legend and hit enter. You see this, the visualizations got changed, right? It just hide the legend for you. Next, I want to see, I want to display the values over this chart. So just write display values and hit enter. And it showed me the values on the charts. Okay, for the last transformation, let's try to change the chart. So I'm going to enter change to line. And it's done. It's as easy, just write it and the visualization will take care of the other things for you. This wraps up our October feature release. I hope you are as excited as I am to start using these capabilities. This was Medhavi Chaturvedi. Thanks again for joining me here. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, Medhavi. I certainly am very excited about all these new features in Birst. Audience, you know what to do. There's the feedback form. Go and let us know your thoughts around the latest in Birst. We'll move on to EPM with Ehsan.
Hello, and welcome to the Infor EPM October release highlights. I'm Ehsan Ahmed, Senior Product Manager for Infor EPM, and I'm thrilled to walk you through some of the exciting innovations coming your way this October. This release brings powerful new enhancements that make planning, reporting, and analysis faster, smarter, and more connected than ever before. In today's session, I will start with a quick overview of what's included in the October release. Then we will jump right into the highlights, beginning with all the new CFO dashboard designed to give executives clear and actionable insights at a glance. Next, I will showcase the latest financial reporting enhancements, followed by how GenAI can run deep financial analysis within EPM. And finally, we'll explore the improved ad hoc experience, where I will demonstrate how can you create your own custom calculation directly within Ad Hoc in just a few clicks. There's a lot to cover, so let's just dive right into it. So what's new? In the October release, we have tons of enhancements from financial reporting to financial consolidation and APM framework. I will not going to go over all of them, but let's start with the GenAI. In financial reporting, user will now able to run analysis with GenAI on out-of-the-box reports, and you'll get nice formatted summary based on the selected data. Then we have ability to export standard reports to Infor IDM. This enhancements introduce the ability for users to store and organize reports into custom folders within Infor document management. Next, we have ability to create calculated field in ad hoc reports. The new custom calculators in the ad hoc reports tool is now available to all users. This enhancement allows users to create metrics directly from their existing report data by applying formulas. Next, we also have added enhancements on financial consolidation, like we enhanced our intercompany account reconciliation. For better user experience, we detail transaction panels to help users identify, analyze, and resolve intercompany mismatches. Also, we gave some advanced application engine capabilities for administrators, such as creating, dropping, or altering tables within the staging area, which will reduce the time spent on managing the staging database. This is just the highlights for a detailed list of enhancements. Please review the release documents for all the release items for October. Next, now let's start. Pretty much we're going to go into C-Suite dashboard. It is designed specifically for executives. It gives CFOs and senior leaders a 360-degree financial view all in one place. Here, you can see consolidated analytical packages, including financial analytical widgets, metrics, and models, offering the CFO's office valuable contacts to gain insights into organization financial state. Now let's dive into our live application. Now let's start with our new C-Suite dashboard, designed specifically for executives. It gives CFOs and senior leaders a 360-degree financial view all in one place. Here, you can see consolidated analytical package include financial analytical widgets, metrics, and models, offering the CFO's office valuable context to gain insights into organization financial state. Look, what you're seeing on the screen is the C-Suite dashboard. Here, you can see it's very nicely simplified way, has given all the data. On this side, it's the matrix. On the left side, we have some objectives and models. I'm going to go over that later, but just let's focus on the matrix. Here on the matrix, you will see color coded. You have the green, which is the positive performance, and the red is the negative. On the corner of the screen here, you will able to select year to date or periodic, which I did periodic for now. On the top, you have the context. Here, you'll select your reporting period, your comparison period, your versions, your compare versions, and obviously your forecast versions. Once you select it, all this data will populate right off the bat here. And then you can also drill down. For example, I want to see what's under the gross profit, like revenue, COGS. You will able to see all this information in a nicely manner on the screen. On your left side, we have this called stability. These are called models. So we have growth models and the stability models. And here I selected the objectives. So we have 4 objectives on this one. So I selected the enhanced operational and efficiency and profitability. At the bottom, you do have what we call charts. Here we have trend and projection charts, which is for gross margin. Here again, you can select your settings here with actual budget difference percentage, previous period waterfall, or you can go a little more beyond and select your own trends and everything here. And then also on the bottom here, we also have top and bottom analysis for gross margin. Here, you can also select your the what if analysis, the analyze by data, right? So here you can say I'm doing by for regions because I have data in the regions. And then you also have top and bottom. So if you select that, it'll give you the top performer. If you select that, you got the bottom performer, right? You have both options like that. So it's very nicely. And when you select this data, it will give you which product is doing a great on the top 5, right? So here you have all this information. Then if you want to go more detail on each of these charts, you can select this. For example, select the trend projection. It will give me more detail about this data. And the bottom, you will have all the data in the back, and then we have all the charts here. On the left side, we do have filters, or what we call point of view, the POVs. Here you'll able to select your entities, your currencies, your measures. All this information is flexible. You can do more analysis on your data very quickly, very efficiently. Now we're going to talk about financial reporting. So I'm going to go from here to the financial reporting. All right. You can see on my screen the financial reporting. Here on the screen, very similar look and feel. You have all these KPIs or the metrics. We call it cards. So you can have 10 cards in the screen here. And at the bottom, you see all these charts like revenue, the capex, debt ratios. All these are pre-delivered for you to do much of the digging. As long as you have the data in the financial reporting, all this populates for you. And then on your left side, we have out of the box as well. So we have all these pre-delivered reports. We will focus on today the aggregated financial statement. As you can see, it gives you more detail of the data. So once I get it, kind of like give you the years, the accounts, and obviously the entities. I'm going to select multiple entities because I see just one entity right there. So I'm going to go to the entity, and here you can have the ability to do the same. You have multiple entity selection or just select one. It's up to you how you want to do it. Do you do your analysis? I clicked and selected 3. Now I want to see this data. I want to do more analysis on this. So we do have one of this called GenAI summary. So you can select this and you can run this summary, and it kind of gives you the analysis, what's data about, and it's in behind the scene is going to your data, understanding the data, and obviously give you the output. As you can see, after running this AI summary report, it's giving me all this analysis in a nicely formatted manner, right? You have your assets on the top, then liabilities and equity, then you have all those informations, and then you go more beyond. At the bottom, you have your analysis, right? You have your liquidity, your quick ratio or working capital, then you have also solvency analysis, very nicely formatted way. So this way you can also utilize this report for your board calls or for any strategic decisions, right? And then there's also our GenAI gives you the key findings and analysis based on your data, and then gives you overall assessment of this financial information. It's beautiful, it's great. And then obviously you can create this is a PDF, right? So you can select this and you can run your PDF from here. And just FYI, make sure always verify the data before you submit, because it is running by the AI, right? So always check. Next, we're gonna go to ad hoc, right? So from there, I'm gonna do ad hoc analysis. And I go in here and then go to configure the report. So this what I'm going to show you is the calculation. So this enhancement was added in October, and now we can do in the cell level the formula inside, right? So I'm going to go select an account, and then I'm going to add calculations, right? So when I open this screen, as you can see, you have this calculation name. I'm going to put test and formula. So this is where on your right structure you have your hierarchy. You select your accounts, and then you can run your calculation. So I'm going to do assets, something's very simple. Assets plus liabilities. And then as you can see, it's very selective. You can select and then plus, minus, division, all is possible. And if you want to go complex, that is possible as well. And then you add. And then once you run this, it will compute your calculations for that cell. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Now, just for the sake of time, we are going to go back to the slide. Well, as we finish our demo, we focus on where you can find this information. You can always find this October release highlights in the knowledge articles, and you can get all these enhancements or trainings in the Infor campus and the training catalog. Again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Esan. Looks like we had minor network issues there. Despite that, I was able to see how awesome the new GenAI integration is. Audience, your turn to tell us your thoughts. And with that, we move on to Nikit and GRC.
Right. So thank you, Reena. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikit Lodi. I'm the product manager for the Infor governance, risk and compliance solution. And I'm also managing the security service within the core Infor OS operating system. In this session, we'll be looking at the enhancements that have been delivered for Infor GRC in the October release. So before we jump into the enhancement, I'll just quickly explain what GRC does. So the governance risk and compliance solution enables you to do continuous controls monitoring in organization. So we have out of the box controls that can be implemented, and this will basically help you save time and resource and help you automate the entire audit process. So here is a list of all the enhancements that have been delivered with the October release, and I don't intend to go through these line by line, but there is a detailed video that we have recorded which is available in Infor, which will explain you all of these enhancements and focus on some of them in detail as well. In this session, I'll be talking about a specific enhancement where we are leveraging artificial intelligence to enable the reviewers to simplify the review process. So before I jump into the specific enhancement, we have a feature that we have available in Infor GRC, which is called Certification Manager. And this functionality helps the managers review the access of the employees, and then they can decide whether the access is relevant to them or not. And then that's how they can approve and deny the access. Whatever is denied can be then revoked for that employee. And that's the typical certification review process. But as a manager, when you're reviewing these accesses, you might not have the functional knowledge or the risk information associated with those accesses. And that is what we are enabling you via the feature that we're delivering in this particular release. So what is this specific feature? So what we have done is we have created a machine learning model which will be trained on the historical review data and the violations that are already available in Infor GRC. And using this data, we'll be providing you with a confidence score. And that will enable the managers to approve the access. If the confidence score is high, that means that you can just go ahead and approve it. And if the confidence score is low, that indicates that there is some kind of a violation, or historically this particular access was rejected for some of the users. So that will help you simplify the overall review process and also help you automate to some extent in terms of how the action is taken. So with that, let me now switch over to one of our internal environments and demonstrate this solution. All right, so this is the Infor artificial intelligence platform where we have created the quest, and this is something that will be pre-shipped and will be available to the end users. And I will also show you how you can enable this and configure this in your environment. So essentially what this quest does is we are replicating all the review related data into data fabric, and that is what will be provided as an input to this model. And that would include the historical review data and also the violation data, which will be combined and provided as an input to this model. And then the model will be trained on that data, and then the output will be made available in the form of an API to GRC. And that is what we'll be leveraging to provide or deliver this enhancement. So that's the overall flow from the machine learning perspective. And now let me switch over to GRC. And within GRC, what you need to do is you navigate to settings, and then you go into configurations. And on this page, there is a particular tab that is available called feature management. And when you click on that, you'll see multiple features that can be enabled for you. So within that, you navigate to certification manager settings, and then you enable this particular feature, which is the ML-based reviews and action recommendations in CM reviews. So once you enable this particular option, it will basically deploy and it will enable the endpoint and it will capture all the data. And then everything should be in place in terms of the machine learning platform. And then the next step would be to go into manage, and then you can basically, you can go into design, and you can go into certification process. And that would be the next step where you go ahead and schedule the certification process. And in the interest of time, I've already done that. And within that process, we'll capture the data from the machine learning model as well and provide it to the end users as a part of the reviews. So now I'll switch personas and I'll log in as a manager. And what I need to do is I need to navigate to monitor and reviews page. and we'll give it a minute to load the reviews. So as a manager, there are some team members that report to me, and those are the team members for whom I will see the reviews. So these are all the team members for whom I need to perform a periodic review. And let me click on one of the employees. And what you will see is the details of all the roles that are assigned to this user Satish. And as you can see, all the reviews are in pending status. And you can click on the roles to see the permission details as well. There is a column indicating the violation count as well. And this is the confidence score that is coming in as an output of the machine learning model. And if you look at the confidence score, it's basically a number that you can see when you hover your mouse on the particular status. And what we're trying to show you is a simplified version of that number, which is basically medium and approve. So we have kind of set up a threshold in the backend where if it is above 80%, then it is high, and it also is concatenated with the action that we are recommending you to take. So in this case, there is no violation, and historically, there might not be much risk associated with it. So it is medium and good to approve. When you see that there are violations cropping in and you'll look at the score, so you'll see that it has a lower score, and that is the reason it is low, and still it can be approved, but you can validate the violation details and then take an informed decision in such a case. And that's how basically the confidence score will come in. So in the long run, what we intend to do is we'll also automate the overall scheduling process where we can pre-approve all of the medium and high approve actions where it is already recommending that it is highly recommended to approve them. So we'll already pre-approve them and put them in the approve tab. So that will simplify, and that will only leave you with some of the low scoring, or like basically the one with high risk, and you need to decide and then take an action and then commit the reviews. So that's the enhancement that is made that's been made available with the October release. There are quite a few additional enhancements as well, talking about GenAI. We have also delivered an enhancement about the European Union AI Act and some user provisioning related optimizations. And for all of these features, there are detailed training videos available in for you. So please feel free to check them out. And with that, hand it over back to you, Reena.
Thank you, Nikit. Another great GenAI integration. Feedback form has a question around that, and we'll move on with Paul, who will walk us through Portal and Mongoose updates.
Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about OS Portal and our October release. But first, let's talk about Portal itself. Portal, of course, is the centralized gateway to all of your cloud suite experience. And it provides you with workspaces and widgets and all kinds of functionality that allows you to streamline your workflow and make better decisions for you and for your company. And it is also, of course, the first thing you see every time you log in. So it's rather important, and basically everybody uses it every day. So we'll just talk a little bit. I'll get lots of enhancements that are coming out in October, but we're just going to talk about a couple of them today. Probably the one that people have been asking for a long time now is a 6-column workspace layout. So today, when you see your workstation or your workspace on a smaller or on a larger screen, you basically have a lot of white space on either side of that. And people ask us to give you more than 4 columns. So essentially, this just dials it up to allow you to give you 6 columns on a larger screen. Now, of course, with those 6 columns, we now are introducing a new column, and we're calling it Smart Stack. And basically, the usage of Smart Stack is to present a more condensed view of information. And to do that, we've created smaller widgets, or at least we're in the process of creating smaller widgets. And basically, these are in a single stack. So we're not reformatting the entire masonry. This is just the stack itself. And we're basically changing the heights of the widgets in that stack space only. And the heights available will be a quarter, half, the 1x1, of course, and a new feature, Auto, which will basically allow you to dynamically size the widgets as well. We'll look at that in a demo today. And lastly, the thing we're going to look at today is tab duplication. So this is something people have been asking for, again, for quite a while. If your application supplies multi-window or multi-session capabilities, you'll now see a duplicate on the tab and be able to take the tab and create a duplicate of it. Now, where would you use that? Let's say you're on a customer order or something like that, but you want to navigate away from the customer order to the customer or an item or some other information that might be related. But you still want to be able to go and reference the original tab. So if you're looking at orders, you're basically going to get a duplicate of the orders, and then you can navigate on that tab away from orders into something else. And again, it allows you that multitasking capability of being able to see both of those things back to back, which is kind of a neat benefit. Okay, let's get into the demo. So to start with, we're going to look at the 6-column view, and we can see in front of us that we have a 4-column view. So if you have a larger monitor, or if you wish to basically zoom in or out, that is, you can see that we get a larger view. And you'll note that the widgets have now filled in that space. So we get a 6-column view. For those of you with larger monitors, that's what you can get today. Now, where would you set this? And if I want to turn it on, and we don't turn it on by default. But under the user settings, so the individual user can turn this on under user settings and under general. Down under workspaces, you'll see here, there's an enable 6-column work or 6-column layout. So this is if you give them access to turn it on, they can turn it on here or turn it off if for whatever reason they want to. And again, for those that might have smaller screens, maybe they want to limit it to 4 for whatever reason they can come and disable it here. So that's the user settings side. Over on the portal side, under the portal tab and under the workspace settings or portal, way down at the bottom, there is a enable 6-column layout down here. So if you enable it, so you set it to yes, then everybody in the organization will get 6-column layout. So there's kind of the on and off is completely up to you, but you set it, and once you set it, it's for the entire organization. By checking the box below it, they'll allow users to choose the 6-column layout, then allows them to turn that if for whatever reason they wanted to. But like I said, if you enable the 6-column layout and their monitors set such that they can only display 4 columns, they'll just get 4 columns. But they could display 5 if it then was big enough to display 5. So there's a little bit of a interesting setup there, but again, up to you how you want to do that, but it does allow your users to have that 6-column layout. Okay. Next, let's look at the smart stack. So we have our 6-column layout here, and over on the left-hand side, you will see that we have a column. And that column drops below where the masonry is in here. But you will see that we have these odd size widgets, right? So we've got a smaller widget for the greetings widget. The HR links is kind of an odd shape, and the notes widget is also interesting here. So let's go and look at this in the designer view. So I'm going to switch to edit mode here. And when I hover over one of these widgets, and these widgets have to be enabled for this. So not just all of your widgets can you squeeze down to a quarter size widget. The design actually has to satisfy quarter, half, or auto. But if they do, then you will get a selection like this. So this is a quarter size widget. If we expand it to a half size widget or a 1x1 widget, now obviously you would dynamically want to change these. This widget hasn't been adjusted to do that, but again, you would have designs for each one of those flavors of the layout. Similarly with the links here, making them larger, but you'll note here's a 1x1, right? It's too big. There's a lot of extra room at the bottom. But if I set it to auto, it then brings that up. So everything's now in focus. So really, really nicely. And similarly with the notes, you can scroll notes. So if you set it to 1 or half, you can actually scroll that area. But if you set it to auto, and if we come back out of design and I now go in and start typing, let's just say I copied this information here, pasted it to the bottom, it gets bigger. So it's an actual dynamic space, which is very unique and probably a lot of neat ideas that we can come up with for dynamic widgets. You'll note as well, this is only in that smart stack area. So it is not inside of the general masonry. And we do that on purpose because obviously if we have these odd heights, we're really going to mess up the way that the masonry works. But for today, that's what we offer is this. We do have a lot of features that can be built off of this. So future releases will include things like conditional show hide. So we can conditionally hide a widget if it has no data to display. So this can be used for like real-time notifications. As well, prioritization, moving the widget up to the top of the column would be something. It is also going to be the basis for our mobile, because we can insert information into a much more condensed form by selecting those quarter height and half height widgets. We can provide a much more condensed view, and that satisfies our mobile needs as well. So that's going to be kind of future state for this. Look for that in the future. And additionally, today, you can only put this on the left-hand side. If you add Smart Stack, it will only apply to the left. We are looking at options of being able to apply it to left and right. So that is the 6-column view and the Smart Stack. And finally is our tab duplication. So we have our pretend product over here. So this is not an Infor product. But if I go to the caret up top here, I have a new selection duplicate. So again, this would be something if I'm on the products page, I hit the duplicate, it's now going to create a copy of my page. So this is another instance of it, right? And I can navigate away from that. I can go to something else, and then I can navigate between them. And again, great idea for multitasking. This only applies if your application supports this, and we choose that. There's no settings that you can change in order to make your application supply this. So if you don't see it today, it's probably because either your product doesn't support it or we haven't enabled it yet. But if you want to see this in your product, then make a request for an enhancement to the product, because obviously it does provide something useful to you. And with that, that's all we have for today, but check out all the other things that are in that list. Okay, here we're ready to talk about Infor Mongoose and the release features for October. But before we get there, let's talk about Mongoose. Mongoose is a rapid application development framework that allows you to build everything from widgets to individual customized solutions to full enterprise applications, such as the applications that are built on Mongoose today, which is HotSuite Industrial or Sightline and FactoryTrack, along with some other smaller applications on the edge as well. But it also allows you as customers to utilize it with PaaS, and all cloud suites have access and entitlement to PaaS, Mongoose PaaS. And if you don't see it today, definitely ask your support staff for access to it. You can have it provisioned for you, and you can basically start creating customized solutions today. We have a lot of enhancements for Mongoose for October. Basically, I think I got 3 pages here, basically, of enhancements that I invite you to look through and see if there's anything that might interest you. But we are going to look at just a couple that we have for October. And the first one is the Infor charting. So we basically have taken the Birst visualizer chart, and it is now being introduced as Infor chart. So it's a new component that we've added into our toolbox, and it's native for Mongoose. So this will be in our native Mongoose toolset today and on the new IDS support forms that we're going to have that are coming in spring. So this is the new charting platform that we're using. So we currently use Fusion charts today, and Fusion charts are more than capable. Everybody uses them, loves them. But we want to bring this in-house. So this is using the new Infor design system, or IDS Infor charting component. And we're looking to basically create parity between the Fusion chart and Infor chart. So it will have the same capabilities. The difference really is that we have it in-house and we can enhance it from this point forward. So our objective is eventually to get to parity. It's not there yet, but we are introducing the chart component into the toolbox today. So you will see it and it will be available, and you can start using it today because it will have backward compatibility to whatever we bring into the future with it. Next is a dynamic tooltip component. So we've had tooltips for a long time. Tooltips are driven by strings today. And that involves basically going to designer, adding a new string value, and then assigning the tooltip. The problem with it is that there's no way to do it dynamically. There's no way in mid-session, in runtime to do that. So what this allows you to do is basically assign the tooltip from a variable substitution or a property substitution, or in script, you can assign it to a component so that you can dynamically change that tooltip, and it can be data driven. Again, it can be property driven. So there's a lot of advantage in doing that. I think it's a really, really nice little enhancement that a lot of people get a lot of use out of. And that's basically the two we're going to look at. So let's go and look at a demo. Okay, so here we are in Mongoose, and we have a couple of things to look at. Forgive me for the form. It's not a real form. Obviously, this is something that I worked up for this demo, but it is a real form in that we can see data that is part of this. And we're going to be reporting on this little bit of sales data here. So these graphs that you see here are the new Infor chart, both the pie chart and the bar chart. And as we navigate around them, we see that there's a tooltip that goes with them, tells us what customer it's for, and some information. That it's sales year to date on the that pie chart. You'll also see a couple of other neat features, conditional formatting, which isn't something that we have readily with Fusion charting. So we can now basically say anything where, in this case, the condition is sales over $3.5 million. Then display that part of the chart in red. So some new features as well. We're going to take as we incorporate this just out of the box. We get a full screen mode. So if you see a chart, you can hit the full screen and it will actually zoom out to give you a better view of the chart, which is rather unique. Similarly, we can also zoom in on the chart. So if you go to the zoom and you make it wider. So imagine if you've got a lot of condensed information in the chart and you want to basically zoom into it so that you can more readily see that information, then you can zoom it. And then you can hit the reset, takes you back to where you started. And this is probably going to be a feature that you all really, really adore. Print. You can quickly output any chart that's displayed just by hitting the print button. And you get a nice print preview. You can output it. So you can, again, with this dressed up with titles, etc., which is possible, you can output that either to a PDF or to a localized printer. So that's the first piece of this, but we'll look at the second example, which is our dynamic tooltip. So for sales year to date, if I just hover over it, you'll see that I get a tooltip, and the tooltip just happens to say the exact same words as the tooltip variable value edit box that you'll see below it. So this is the dynamic side of it. So we now type this is dynamic into our box below it. If I now hover over that sales year to date, I get a new tooltip. This is dynamic. And again, you don't have to activate it in this form, but it can be, because all I'm doing is just a variable reference. It could be a property reference to a piece of data that's contained in your data set, or it could be set within script. So let's talk about how we do this. So first off, let's talk at the charting. Essentially, we have a new charting component inside our toolkit. So we have Infor chart here. Again, we still have our original charting, which is Fusion charting, not taking it away, but we've offered a new tool. You then drag that onto your canvas, and of course, then you can bind to it. So if we look at the binding and we go and edit the binding, and I'm not going to go through all the pieces of this because there are tons of options, very similar to what Fusion. And again, we do want to try and make that a one-to-one comparison. But you'll see that we basically select the properties that we want to display, the information that we want to contain, whether it's the x-axis, the y-axis, and then, it's data types usually needed in order to figure out which different types of charts you have. Speaking of charts, we can have different types of charting, and by this, a lot of charts. So bar charts, bubble charts, columns, donuts, basically everything in here, including gauges, which is really important because we're going to be utilizing gauges with the critical numbers. So that's another component that we're going to be introducing into the April timeline with our data views and critical numbers. So very important there too. Again, lots of options in here for formatting, lots of options in here for font types, etc. And of course, some new features in here in that we have conditional formatting as well. So basically you take your property value, you do a comparison through an expression, and then assign a color to it so that you can display that different color for your bar, your pie, whatever that's going to be, in order to individualize it inside of a group. Lots of capability in there. I invite you to explore the charting, and I'm sure you'll have lots of fun with that. Next, let's talk about the dynamic tooltip. The tooltip is sitting on this sales year to date. So we're going to click into sales year to date. And if we go and look under help at the tooltip, we note that it's got a V sales tooltip in there. So V is a variable reference. So basically whatever's contained in the brackets is the name of the variable. This can also be a P, which would be a property reference for substitution. So basically before it presents it, it basically evaluates it. Is it a variable? Is it a property? Or is it just a static value that got typed into the tooltip? All of those are supplied. And again, additionally, you can also do this through scripting by applying the tooltip within code if you really wanted to. But again, just variable substitution, it's going to evaluate it, find the variable on the form, and then display it as the tooltip for sales year to date. Now, of course, how did we assign that variable? Just to give you a little bit of inside baseball there, we created an edit box and we put its binding type to variable, and we basically set the binding to sales tooltip, which is the name of the variable, and the initial value, this is the sales tooltip. So it's another way in that you could establish variables on a form. You don't have to establish them on an edit box. You could just add a variable value. And again, all of this is detailed out if you know Mongoose. If you want to learn Mongoose, definitely there's lots of information out there. Check out developer.infor.com and you can follow the application development tutorials there, and it'll take you to how to learn Mongoose. And you can do all of these fun things, including making charts and tooltips and all of the myriad of things that you can do with Mongoose. So go and build it some solutions.
Thank you, Paul. Again, feedback form, questions around Portal and Mongoose. And next up is Ion with Daniel.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I'm a product manager for Infor iPaaS platform, including Ion. Let me give you a couple of words about Ion. So Ion is a solution that allows you to transfer data between applications. And Ion is deployment agnostic. So it means that we can work with data. We can transfer data from on-prem to a cloud and vice versa. And as well, Ion application agnostic. It means that we can transfer data not only from Infor application, but from any application to any another application. And today I would like to give you an overview of enhancements we are delivering in October 2025. And I would like to start with enhancement related to integration of Ion and IDM. So in October 2025, we are giving you a possibility to link existing IDM documents to Ion workflows. So currently you can attach files to your workflows, or you can use real backlinks to refer to IDM documents. But in this release, we are improving integration between Ion and IDM, and let me show how it works. Okay, see, here I have two widgets, start workflow and inbox. And let me start a workflow. I select workflow model. And here in attachment section, we have a new link to IDM feature. When you click it, you see a pop-up where you need to define document type from IDM. And if you need, you can use search by name. Then you can link as many documents as you need. And they will be linked to this workflow. I will start it. And now I will have a task in my inbox. I have a new task. And here again, attachment section, I see this link document. From here, you can remove the link. It doesn't mean that the document will be deleted from IDM. Now we just remove the link. And from here, you can link another document if you need, or you can download document right here. It will download the latest version from IDM, and you can jump right to document management to see details of the document. And one thing I want to mention here that all security settings and all access settings, they are on IDM side. So if you do not have access to a document from IDM, you are not able to link this document or access this document from Ion. Okay, let's jump to the second enhancement. So the second one is related to OneView. As you may remember, last October we introduced a retention policy for OneView, and together with retention policy we added possibility to send OneView events to Data Fabric. And in this release, we add a new tab in OneView, and from this tab, you will be able to access this archived event from Data Fabric. So here you see I have archived view active. We try to make the look and feel of the view the same as we have for ongoing messages. So and from here you can see all the parameters, all the events with the message, and all the steps. So here in archive view we have similar filters we have in ordinary OneView UI. So you can filter using date and time, document name, message ID, and logical ID. And everything else looks similar to current OneView UI. So the third feature I would like to cover is related to data flows. So in October 2025, we merged document flows and data lake flows into one type of flows, data flows. So we combine all tools we have in document flows and data lake flows. And when you create a new flow, you will not see a pop-up with a flow type. We just show a new model. And here you can see combined toolset. So we have all steps we had in document flow, and we appended this toolset with steps we had in data lake flow. Retrieve, query, and ingest data. So I would like to note that all the existing flows you have will not be impacted by this new functionality. They will work the same as they work now. And all APIs automation you have, if you build some automation based on Ion APIs, they will continue to work the same. So the next one will be related to Ion workflows again. So maybe you remember that last October we introduced possibility to send some data, some Ion workflows data to data lake. It was data about Ion workflows and activities like tasks and notifications. And in this October, we expand this data with the data about workflow executions, but finished executions. By finished, I mean completed, canceled, or failed. So you will be able to send more data about your workflow executions, like workflow ID, workflow status, when execution was started and when it was ended, and as well information about each step inside this execution. So it may be a task, it may be API call, it may be decision, it may be set parameter, whatever you have in your model. So again, with some with many information about when it was started, when it was ended, the status of each step. So basically, with this information, you can create more advanced reports, and you can do a deeper analysis of your workflow executions. For example, you are able to define a bottleneck in your workflow to see the most fastest path and make changes in your model based on this information. So the last enhancement I would like to introduce today is a technical one. So we from Ion side, we continuously improve our platform, and these improvements allow us to handle more messages and bigger messages. And in October release, we increase message sizes that we can handle in Ion. So we separate this message type, message handling, to two types. One is lift and shift, when we just transfer message from one application to another application without looking inside the message. So, and the second one is message processing. So when we need to open the message, for example, when you have a mapping, or you have a Python script, or you have a content-based route, we need to process the message, and numbers are different. These numbers are related to your license tier, and for scripting, numbers will remain the same, 5 megabytes. So this all the features I would like to highlight today. Hopefully you will find them useful, and we are looking forward for your feedback and for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniil. On the feedback form, audience, you can go and tell us which one of the new features you think is most useful to you. And from that, we move on to Vivek, who'll go through API Gateway and BaaS.
Hello everyone. I am Vivek Akundi, Product Manager Associate at Infor. So today we are going to discuss about API Gateway and Backend as a Service, which is BaaS. So today we are going to discuss whatever the features we are going to roll out in 2510, which is October release. So these are the enhancements that we are going to roll out. From API Gateway, we have three major features, and from BaaS, we have two, which we will be going to discuss in the further slides. So before we are jumping into the features, I want to just provide a high-level understanding what is the API Gateway. API Gateway is an essential component in API ecosystem, and it's a centralized entry point for all your API requests, and that request will be routed to your target endpoint based upon the base URL and having a unified, secured, optimized communication between your client systems and application servers. And coming to the API gateway can be enabled on different topologies, like it can be enabled on hybrid cloud and provide complete API orchestration to enhance request and response patterns. And we also have additional capabilities like monitoring, auditing, and notification services for efficient API management. And API gateway also comes with the features such as rate limiting, throttling, and unified base URL. Now, today we are going to discuss about Infor GenAI policy generation, which is like one of the key feature we are rolling in 2510. The problem previously we used to generate the policies by manually, and which is complex and error prone and causing a misconfiguration and slow in the development and deploying the services. But now we have came with a unique solution that our Infor GenAI can write your policies and eliminate the non-experienced persons who can write easily. And this feature can be available under available APIs, and here this can be applicable on both as well as the suite level and endpoint level. So the demonstration will be showed at the end of this presentation. And coming to second, we have a client credentials as a grant type. So previously we used to have only support of password credentials, but password credentials needs a user context where the user need to enter the passwords and whatever the details that are being generated in Ion API file. But this is a completely mission to mission communication where the modern backend services are needed. And this feature can be present under authorized apps under grant type as a client credentials. And coming to the another thing, which we are now supporting OpenAPI 3.1 documentation in API Gateway as well. So now we want to show the demo of all these three features in the tenant. First, I want to discuss about the GenAI policy generation. It's loading. So as I previously told, the policy generation can be happen on the suite level. So this can be applicable on request sides and as well as on the response side. And this can be applicable as well as on the endpoint level. So for a demonstration purpose, I will give you a policy generation for quota. So I want to make it 3 requests for this quota and just see how it works. I want to save this and we can go to the documentation and try it out. I want to just try with the status code. And here the response is 200. And again, we hit, it's a second time and it's throwing a 200 response. But see, when we are trying to hit more than 2 times, it is throwing in a 429, which is too many requests. So that is a quota policy that we have enabled on the API level. And apart from this, we also can be enable like a header policy and different types of policies, whatever you want. And this is one of the feature. And second feature is client credentials, which can be present under authorized apps. Now I want to create a one-off application and creating this as a backend service. And you just need to save this. And you can see the credentials are being present here, and you can download your Ion API file from this button. And coming to the last but not the least is OpenAPI 3.1 support, which we previously don't have a support of OpenAPI 3.1, but we have a GenAI suite where that supports a 3.1, but now we can also see that in OpenAPI metadata that it is supporting a 3.1 as well. So for an example, let us consider this context and go to the metadata and search for suite context and provide. See, here we can see a 200 response and we can see all the documentation available. So these are the features we have been rolling out for Ion Gateway. So today we are discussing about backend as a service. So backend as a service is also an essential component in API offerings from Infor side. BaaS is a comprehensive API lifecycle management where it abstracts or hidden the complex cloud infrastructures and building and deployment, where the developers can solely focus on developing their business logic, not worrying about the configuration part. And BaaS also provides a managed stores, service, and computation security execution patterns to create scalable cloud native functions, which can be directly exposed in API Gateway under the BaaS suite. We have two major features that we are going to release. Previously, we used to have a UI, but the UI has a limited operations. But now we have extensive of operations, which previously doesn't exist. So we can show the demo in the later stage of this presentation. And we also have integrated a GenAI in our BaaS SDK, where it helps to reduce the time in the development and debugging and enhance the development. So now if we are going into the demo part, this is a list view where we also have a grid view. Previously, this is only the view that was existed, but now we have a list view also. And we also enabled the pagination. You can see all your services here. And for the demonstration purpose, I was considering customer application. And here we can see all our environmental variables and configuration and details. So these is the details part or details tab where you can see the framework version, creation date, and whether this service has been promoted as a global packages or not. And this is like features which has a queue, storage, API gateway, key value pair, and center, and has a different handlers with a variety of handlers like queues, REST, scheduler, and storage GraphQL and enterprise orchestrator. And coming to the runtime configuration, it's nothing but it's like environmental variables, or you can change with whatever the value you can want and just save it. And you can, if you wanted to change all the details and save it at one go, then you can save all your changes in one go. But if you don't want to change and if you want to modify, you can simply modify and save individually. But if you want to reset all, then you can use the bulk reset option. And coming to the deployment configuration, it's the same, but we also have a default value here. If the customer or the user is not providing a value, then automatically this default value will be taken. And coming to the logs, we have service level logs where you can, by default, we can see 1000 logs. And we can, if you are confident what exactly the error, then you can just type that error and you can find. And we also providing a facility to sort by different handler type. If you want to sort by queue, then you can sort the logs based upon this handler. And this is a refresh button. And this is an advanced search where you can, if you want to search with a specific time interval, or if you want to search for the advanced time, then you can suggest the time here, and you can apply, and you can see the logs as well. And this is execution logs, and you can see the logs here as well, where this has almost 100 entries of last 100 entries. And you can also similarly filter based upon the storage queue or scheduler. And here we can extend this log and see and copy this log if you want. So these are the changes that we have done as part of UI. And coming to the discussion part of the Visual Studio BaaS extension, we have integrated GenAI under SDK help and feedback tab, where we have integrated Infor GenAI, and this will help the developers to reduce their troubleshooting and better enhancement of application. The developers can see all their logs, and they can see or summarize their logs. If they want to see the current session logs, they can see by clicking or confirming yes here. And if they want to see the today's logs, then also they can see here similarly how we have done for the current session. And coming to the health check is a primarily, it will do a backend check that whether you have all the installation of softwares or not. If anything is missing in the like a Java package or a Node.js package, or if you have been misconfigured your BaaS extension, then it will be helpful so that you can figure it out and find the root cause why it is breaking. And coming to the summarization support info, when you are finding any issue, what it will do is it will summarize all the logs and just send that logs to the GenAI and help you what exactly the problem is. But here we have another feature where you can zip the file and create a file with a zip version, and you can send this zip file to GenAI, and it will provide an information what exactly the root cause is. So these are the two main features that we have been rolling out from the BaaS side.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you to all of our presenters. You've done a great job here. There's two more questions in the feedback form for API Gateway and BaaS. We are again a couple of minutes over the time, but before we go, I'd like to remind you that the recording will be available on YouTube and through the registration link for this webinar. The Q&A will be posted in the product forums in our community within the next week or so. All of you coming to TechX, we are looking forward to meeting you. I want to thank all of you for joining us, for staying with us for this very long webinar. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. See you again next time.